Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for Seminary Saturday. I am joined by a very special guest today. Black Sofa is with me today. If you
Hello.
have not checked his channel out, I do strongly recommend it. But as per his request, since he is the guest on my channel, he got to decide what we got to talk about, and he chose John on Acid. So
Yeah.
thank thank you, Black Sofa, for joining me. Just out of curiosity, is there any particular reason you did choose Revelation and the Mark of the Beast
I,
precisely?
I've always been really fascinated by Revelation. Um, when I was saved, I it was a book. It was probably the most fascinating book in the Bible for me, and I could never get my head around it. But I was fascinated by all the imagery uh, and all the utter weirdness of it all. And
Yeah,
and also I wanted to crack it. I don't know what made me think I could crack it, since theologians can't even agree on how it should be interpreted.
yeah,
But I wanted to get to the bottom of it somehow and make sense of it all.
yeah. Um, so yeah, all right. That's sorry. But yeah, I'll agree with you. It is one hell of an interesting study. That's all I'll say. It's yeah, it's interesting. We'll just leave it at that. There is, like I said, I mean, Revelation, there's just, as you said, so much to talk about. But
Yeah,
since we are
yeah,
doing the Mark of the Beast,
yeah.
um, I
And there's
guess
a lot of confusion about the mark of the beast,
oh yeah,
especially.
yeah, we can get to that when we get down to it in that, uh, because that is at the very end. So let's just, because I don't like to try and jump around. I want to try and go from beginning to end and just talk about what comes up. But yeah, there's a lot we both can probably say on that.
Yeah.
So let's start with the 13th chapter of John on some good shit. Um,
Okay, good.
yeah, it says, and I saw the beast coming out of the sea. He had 10 horns and 7 heads. Okay, well, first of all, I'm mentioning this. If you have 7 heads, you
Yeah,
either should have 7 horns or you should have 14 horns. Don't do
yeah,
none of this 2 on one head and 1 on the other. That just, from an
yeah.
artist standpoint, that doesn't work.
No.
Um,
Have you
so
ever seen pictures of the beast? Or have you ever looked at pictures on Google or whatever?
long time ago,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. There's some
because
crazy pictures
yeah,
out there.
because what I've seen is like one of the main depictions I've seen is a like one main head with others sprouting around it with smaller heads, and the main head had the 10 horns. That's
Yeah,
not as bad aesthetically pleasing. And again, this is supposed to be Satan, I guess, or whatever. It makes no sense either way you want to. Yeah,
yeah.
you had to be on something to witness to envision this insanity.
Well, yeah, but or where this is I've read a few commentaries on
Okay.
Revelation, and well, let's put it this way: if you and your people belong to this new sect, not called Christianity yet, it's called the Way,
Yeah.
and you're being heavily persecuted by the Roman Emperor and the Roman Empire as a whole. And I mean, Nero used to use Christians, for want of a better term, as human torches for his
Yeah.
barbecues.
Yeah.
And so you can't just write, Caesar. is going to get his comeuppance. We're going to kill him. He's going to get what's coming to him. Because if that letter gets into the wrong hands, you're literally toast.
Yeah.
So you've got to come up with some language that, some secret mystical language that only those in the know are going to understand. So Caesar becomes the beast.
Yeah. And one of the other things that I've always heard with for back then was basically if you ever found a Christian, a hungry lion was always waiting nearby in the Colosseum.
Yeah.
Because that literally you were basically the Romans invited you for dinner at the Colosseum, and you were on the menu for the lions. That
Yeah.
was either that, or they would put you in a gladiator fight to make sure you got the point.
Literally.
One way or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very literal in those sense.
Yeah.
Hey, this is supposed to be a literal reading of Revelation. I mean, Revelation is supposed to be literally what they saw, so I'm only good. So it's only fair to be literal, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
I I like what Steven said. It's kind of what I said at first. And this last half is really great. Revelation is just a really bad trip. Godzilla is more realistic than anything in that book, and I think I'm in agreement with them.
Yes. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
And have you ever seen Urotsuki Doji, Legend of the Overfiend?
not ringing a bell.
Oh, it's quite an old anime now. I think it came
Yeah,
out.
I'll admit I'm not the biggest anime nerd. I'll
Oh,
be
right.
honest. My first introduction to anime was Pokemon and Zoids Chaotic Century.
Oh, okay.
Uh, any of the other Zoids afterwards were not as good. They went downhill fast after Chaotic Century. It's like Chaotic Century was like it was really good, really awesome, and then it went down to and Voltron is another one I remember. That was a good one.
Urotsuki Doji, Legend of the Overfiend,
Yeah,
it is so trippy. It is really weird, and I think they were inspired by this book. Revelation.
they,
There's
they,
lots of trippy monsters and beasts and all kinds of crazy stuff.
yeah, they could be. They could have been. Yeah, there's a lot of crazies out there. And on his horns were 10 datums, and on his head were blasphemous names. The beast, well, okay, first off, blasphemous names. So
Yeah,
I that one has always puzzled me because blasphemous names. The only thing I could ever find really to talk on that was the um
I,
was like names of other gods, of false gods, because
yeah,
those were considered blasphemy to them. It wasn't. A lot of people have argued that it's the name of the blasphemers, but no. If it was name of blasphemers, they would have said
yeah,
names of people who have blasphemed the Lord or committed, or the names of those who committed blasphemy. They had words for that type of phrasing in the
yeah,
ancient Greek and Hebrew. So it's
yeah.
not. So it would only have to be false gods.
Hmm. That's right.
Um,
Yeah, or people, the people who received this letter and heard it read out loud,
yeah,
they would have known, the blasphemous names for God.
yeah,
Certain names you couldn't call God because it was blasphemous, and that's how I
yeah,
have always
yeah.
understood.
There's a lot of interesting interpretations on it alone. So I mean, it's just that's the only one that really made the most sense to me on what it said. Um,
But
verse,
now, sorry, but
no, you're
now in the
fine.
21st century, we all we can do is make educated, guesses at best.
Yeah, oh yeah. Um, it's verse 2 for anybody. We're on there now. Anybody who is following us, uh, John. All right, Stephen. As long as you don't call in the Inquisition, I think we'll be fine. And we do have a Brit on here, so that humor is more appreciated with him probably than with me. If you read Steven's last comment.
Oh, in the words of John Cleese, blasphemer.
Yeah. Like I said, it's probably more appreciated by him than me because, well, that's where he's from. I know, I'm a bad American. I'm allowing a bread on my channel. Um,
You'll
but
never live
yeah,
it down.
but yeah, I'm American. I'm supposed to give you a hard time. uh, the Beast. Oh, do you just want to say?
No, it's okay. Yeah, go
Okay.
on.
All right, yeah. The beast I saw was like a leopard. His feet were like a bear's. His mouth was like a lion's mouth. The dragon gave him power, his throne, and great authority. Oh boy, where do you even begin with that one?
Yeah,
I mean, just biologically, that is, um,
impossible.
yeah. There's no way that that would ever be. Oh, and I'm supposed to ask from Steven if you want America back.
The red coats are coming.
Yeah. Don't worry. We got people who can ride horses and put lanterns in church steeples, so we're safe.
Yeah, that's what the Second Amendment is for, you know, in
Yeah.
case we come back and try to, get our land back.
Yeah. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. See, we kicked your butt in 1776 and we did it again in 1812. I
Yeah,
think
exactly.
I think you got the point.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
but yeah, go ahead.
you guys are lucky. You've got Donald Trump. We
Oh,
we we've got Donald Trump's lapdog.
oh. I don't know if yeah, I'm not gonna get into yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid politics on that one. I don't normally get into it. I'm okay talking religion. Politics,
Yeah.
that's a can of worms that's never fun to get into.
No, no.
So I'll just yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
especially at family gatherings.
oh God. Oh, religion is bad with my family in general. I mean, uh yeah, I have a
Yeah,
story with my family of my mom one time asked me, well, why do you turn your back on your Lord and Savior? And I finally had enough of this being asked, and I asked her, why'd you turn your back on Santa? I,
yeah,
the look I got, man, looks would kill. I would have been dead that day. I thought it was a perfectly valid question.
well, yeah, exactly. But
Um,
yeah, sex, religion, and politics are the three topics apparently you shouldn't bring up.
yeah,
But those are my favorite topics.
yeah.
I,
I mean,
I love
I'm
talking about them.
I'm okay talking politics. It's just this one. I guess more on this channel. I'm not because it's one that I'm not. If I'm on someone else's channel, I'll talk politics all day long. Um, but usually just not on my own because that's not what I kind of like my channel to focus on. So I guess for me, it's in that aspect. I don't normally.
Yeah.
Um, and well, I will say this. Song of Solomon 7. I don't know about chapter 7 Song of Solomon, but I know the whole book of Song of Solomon is basically erotic poetry.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Apparently, even today, rabbis take their shoes off when
yeah,
they read the Song of Solomon because it's the holy of holies.
yeah,
That's what they
yeah.
refer to it as.
And it's basically erotic poetry. That's
Oh
all it
yeah,
is.
yeah.
And Steven, on you liking rocks, I just would say be careful because that's going to put us on some rocky ground. Okay, if you laugh at that joke, we're going to get along just fine. You'll laugh at my other ones.
Cool.
But
So, Revelation.
yeah, back on verse 3. Um, One of his heads appeared to be fatally wounded, but his fatal wound had healed. The whole earth was amazed and followed the beast. Um, yeah, on that, I don't really have a whole lot to say on that. It's supposed to be basically supposed to have had a head wound. Now, I don't know if Nero ever had a head wound that it healed. Um, so if someone knows who's watching, you can comment
I,
in the chat,
I,
or if you know.
yeah, I think. I remember reading in one commentary that it's referring to the Roman Empire. Yeah, the
Oh,
fatal wound
okay.
was when the Roman Empire fell, but then, for all intents and purposes, it recovered and
Yeah,
became Christendom,
that that
the Holy Roman
yeah,
Empire.
that actually makes a lot of sense. Actually, when you look at it that way, yeah. See, I'm glad I have you on because you know more on that.
But then that doesn't quite ring through because
I,
when
read Steven's comment. Read the last one.
okay,
Oh, that's
if of the wounds healed, it wasn't fatal. She turned into a newt, but got better.
yes. I, I, is this just gonna become one giant, Monty Python reference? Because I have a guy from Britain on. I'm afraid to see
Probably.
the answer to that question.
She
Wow,
turned me into a newt.
I got better. Yes. Oh boy, that's
Oh dear. Oh, but yeah, Monty Python. They've got a
oh,
lot to answer for, those guys.
yeah. But boy, are they funny.
Yeah.
I have seen it. The grill's here. Oh, that's just one. Wow, that scene is. I watched it and I did not realize. I laughed through all my Python when I was younger. And then when I watched it with like high school, I'm like, why was I allowed to watch this? It's so inappropriate. Uh,
Oh dear. But funny story. I went on a camping holiday with a Christian youth group when I was still born again, and one of my Christian friends had Monty Python songs, and we're all singing, we're all listening to them singing, and then all of a sudden I heard, sit on my face and tell me that you love me."
wow. Uh,
And I thought,
I,
is this really appropriate for a Christian camping holiday?
hey, hey, at a Christian at a summer camp I always went to when I was younger in high school, up through high school, up for like middle school and high school age. I I learned to play poker there.
All
That's where
right.
I learned to play poker. Texas Hold'em.
Yeah, Christians are the worst gamblers.
Oh God, yeah. And the thing was, here's what made it bad.
Yeah,
The youth ministers were on it on the game too.
yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. That doesn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I'm like, you look at it, it's like you're not supposed to gamble. Like, yeah, we didn't care. It's like, yeah. So yeah, that's where I learned to gamble, and I actually got banned from playing blackjack with them because we use like I think most we use with 3 decks,
Mm,
and I would just sit there and keep track of how many 10 valued cards were left in the shoe,
yeah,
and so I would just keep that in mind. And they figured out they're like, you're counting. I'm like, no, I'm not. They're like, well, how are you winning every time? How do you know when to take that? I'm like, I'm just keeping track of how many 10 value cards were in there. And they go, that's considered counting. I go, no, I'm using my brain. To me, it would be illegal if I had a calculator on my lap and I was sitting there doing subtraction with it. But if I'm
yeah,
keeping track of it in my head,
yeah.
why is that wrong? I never understood that.
No, exactly. Yeah,
um, but it goes on to say we're in verse 4 for anybody crazy enough to be in here following along with us. So I promise we will get through all of Revelation 13 by the end of this. We just
yeah.
might get. We got 2 people. I don't know about him, but he seems it. But we got 2 people with ADDOS syndrome, attention deficit disorder. Ooh, that's shiny. Yeah. Um, but verse 4 is they worship the dragon because he gave authority to the beast and worship the beast, saying, "Who is like the beast? Who is able to wage war against him?" Now, uh, with
Yeah,
how you were saying with the beast, kind of being Rome and the head of and the beast being Nero at the time, that would make
Mm.
sense because at the time, who could
Yeah,
take on Rome? Who was
yeah,
crazy? Or who in their right mind was not even crazy enough, just dumb enough to do it?
yeah,
Because
exactly. Yeah,
it was never going to end well for you.
yeah, yes, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, and who is the dragon? Because the dragon and the beast are two separate
Yeah.
entities.
The beast is Nero. From the dragon, I think is supposed to be the Antichrist.
Yes, yeah. So,
Although people confuse them, you know, uh, as the same person, but no, it's very distinctly, um, very distinct, different entities.
yeah,
Um, the beast is, I think the dragon is supposed to come before the beast. I think the beast is almost supposed to be Satan, maybe. God, it's been so long since I've done any study on Revelation.
I,
I'm
I
really
think
rusty.
I think the beast is the political authority, and the dragon is
Yeah.
the spiritual authority. So I've
Okay.
heard it said that the dragon is the Pope. But,
I've heard that. I've heard that the papacy is supposed to have some
but there was no Pope in those
correlation.
days, so it can't be.
Yeah.
That's not how the original hero
Yeah.
would have understood it. No.
Yeah, because there wasn't yet really a pope. So I mean, but people have tried to link the papacy to the Book of Revelation, and it's just I never understood the point behind that. To me, it's like no,
E-
it's
Every pope has been the Antichrist, as
yeah,
far
pretty
as
much.
and every president has been the Antichrist, as
Oh yeah.
far as evangelical Christians, apart from Donald Trump.
Oh yeah. No,
He,
he's been blessed by God,
of course, yeah,
and everybody going after him is just being controlled by Satan. Even
yeah.
though I've just yeah, we aren't even. Yeah, I can. I'm not
And we're
not
back into
touching on that one.
politics.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. I'm trying really hard to avoid it. Um, I
Yeah.
got my own issues with Trump. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
Um,
So again,
yeah,
again, we can, when this letter was first written and circulated to the seven churches,
yeah,
the people who received this letter, who heard it read to them, um, they would have understood who the dragon was.
yeah. Oh yeah, because the people who were
But now we can only guess.
yeah,
You know,
because the people who were around this time believed that Jesus was coming back in their lifetime because uh I want to say it's in John, but he talks about how Jesus says, he will return before this generation passes. So they truly believed. I mean, to
yeah,
me, if people want to argue biblical prophecy with Jesus, I'm like, no, he right there. You got to
yeah,
fail prophecy by Jesus, so that just credits everything he said. And of course, people don't like to look at that.
no,
Those little pesky facts that they have. And I'll
yeah.
just say this right now, real quick. Bye, Stephen. I guess he had to get
Oh, yeah.
going.
Thanks,
So
Stephen.
yeah,
Thanks for
yeah,
watching.
yeah. Thanks for joining in for the little bit that you could.
Yeah.
Um,
But there are churches where the pastor they basically read Revelation with one. They've got the Book of Revelation in one hand, and they've got the newspaper in the other hand. So
yeah, oh, yeah. It's
they read Revelation and interpret it through today's news and say, see what's happening in the Middle East. This is all Revelation. We're in the end times.
yeah,
Jesus is coming back.
yeah,
But no, Jesus said, this generation that I'm talking to right now will not pass away before I return,
yeah.
before these things happen.
This generation, these things shall not pass before the passing of this generation or something like that. It's
Yeah.
really wonky wording because he was trying to speak prophecy, and of course it failed. Um, and there's some really interesting ways that people try and justify that one. It's like, well, he wasn't meaning that generation because well, that generation, the things had come to pass in that generation because he resurrected, or like that's not what he's talking about. And that particular tragedy, he is talking about the end times. He's talking about Armageddon,
Yeah.
and he
And
failed.
people, I think I've heard a couple of people say that um, when he said, when he was talking about these things will not happen until this generation passes, he was talking about the destruction of the temple.
Yeah,
But that doesn't fly because yes, he's talking about the destruction of the temple, but as you say, he goes on to talk about things that are going to happen at the end of
yeah.
time.
And even with the if you want to go with the destruction of the temple one, the temple was destroyed and it wasn't rebuilt until the 19 total. Jerusalem was really, actually it hasn't even been rebuilt yet. Actually, if you really
No,
want to get technical, because of the Temple
yeah,
Mount, that's where the Dome on the Rock is.
yeah,
So yeah, guess what? I mean, unless you know people that are freaking 2,000 years old, I'm gonna call it failed until you can
yeah.
bring someone 2,000 years old. That
And
Bible prophecy failed.
I, I've even heard people saying, I've read it in books as well, that before Jesus comes back, the dome on the rock will be destroyed
Yeah,
so that the temple can be rebuilt in its place.
yeah.
And then the Middle East will just blow up like a powder keg when that happens.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. Because remember, all those religions are religions of peace. That's why they kill each other to show who's the most peaceful.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, and so yeah, it's we go on with verse 5. A mouth was given to him to speak boasts and blasphemies. He was also given authority to act for 42 months. Well, given authority to act, that would be very clear of any Caesar. And 42 months, I don't know.
That's a very arbitrary number.
Yeah, that's a little to me. That's a little bit specific. So I'm not sure what the context on that exactly is. Again, it's been years since I've studied Revelation. Um,
But certainly in the Bible, 40 days,
yeah,
um,
it's
an indefinite amount of time,
yeah,
it's a long time, basically. That's,
yeah,
but why 40? Why 42 and not 40? I'm not sure
yeah, because
why the writer chose that.
yeah, because if you look through the Bible, that's actually I think one of the reasons, partly why it almost didn't make it the um
The canon.
into the canon is one
Yeah.
because it's so. I mean, literally, there is really very little cross references
Mm.
to Revelation and the rest of the Bible. There, I mean, if you try to find them there, you have to do a lot of stretching. I mean, at least with the Gospels and the Paul letters and everything else up to Revelation, you have, you know, things that you can cross reference with other parts of the Bible, or at least try to, and make some reasonable sense. Revelation is on its own. There's
Well,
no um
there's certainly a lot of Daniel in there.
yeah, and
Even
yeah,
that's a bit tenuous, though.
the and another one with the I mean, just looking at even from the quote unquote the numerology standpoint, because numbers are huge in the Bible. You have 7 and 6, and I mean, all these numbers have very specific meanings
Yeah.
um to the Bible itself. 42, as far as I understand, and if I am wrong, someone can correct me on this, or you can. But as far as I know, 42 doesn't have any significant correlation outside of here, which really raises just a lot of questions on its own because,
Yeah.
like I said, numerology is so huge throughout the Bible.
Mm.
Um,
And there's a lot of other apocalyptic literature that didn't get into the Bible.
yeah,
The apocalypse of Moses. I think there's the apocalypse of Peter. That that's an interesting one because I think if I remember reading it rightly, I think a giant cross comes out of the tomb and it starts walking and talking. It's really bizarre.
on which one?
The apocalypse of Peter, I think it is, and
Oh,
yeah,
I'm not as familiar with the lost books as I
mm,
probably should be. I believe there's a Gospel of Timothy, I
yeah,
think it is, um, that basically has Jesus. Uh, Someone made Jesus mad, so he killed like I guess a kid killed some birds he created out of clay, and he
yeah,
killed the kid. Or I think it's I could be wrong. There's one in there, and it's like
mm,
that's some really screwed up stuff. I mean,
yeah,
I mean that is like Omen Child. You know the
yeah,
Omen? That's like
yeah,
some Omen. I can't remember the
yeah,
kid's name, but
Damon,
that's
Damon,
like yeah,
yeah,
it's like okay, that's like some really screwed up shit there.
and of course, Jesus would never sing.
Oh,
So
don't get
so
me
that
started on that one.
so that's why that book wasn't allowed in there.
Yeah, but all the other ones are allowed that show Jesus to be a flat out sinner. If you look at the Exodus 20 version of the Ten Commandments, even though that's not what they are. So, shameless plug, please check out that video that I made on that.
Yeah,
Um, But in verse 6, it says, He began to speak blasphemies against God, and to blaspheme his name and his dwelling. Those dwell in heaven, and those that dwell in heaven. That's pretty self explanatory on it. Where he's basically just saying, Yeah, F you, God, I'm God, you suck. Just, yeah. To,
yeah.
to quote a well known flat earther, this is what he said to God: Suck my nuts. And anybody watching who has seen him knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
I'll send you. I'm not shouting him out. I don't want to give him any more attention than he gets. I'll send you a
Okay.
link
Yeah.
though later. He's
Mm.
yeah. That's his whole
Okay.
argument for the Earth is flat.
Okay.
Um, He goes, and he was permitted to wage war against the saints and to conquer them. He was also given authority over every tribe, people, language, and nation. And again, uh, this is the beast here,
Yeah.
who we're talking about. So again, that makes perfect sense for Nero. He had authority over everyone, over every tribe, over every language of the
Mm.
known world at the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if they found new land, guess what? Yeah, again, like I said, have fun trying to stop Rome. You're gonna
Mm.
lose, and it's not gonna be
Mm.
pretty. Just give up, make yourself slave, uh, because you were going to live there. Although that's really not a good argument either way, but that's
Mm.
just how it was back then, and even as wrong and screwed up as all that is.
Yeah.
Um, so it says, and then all those who live on earth will worship him. Everyone whose name was not written from the foundation of the world in the book of the life of the Lamb who was slaughtered.
Yeah. And that's
And again,
not. Sorry. Go
we
on. Go on.
again that raises a lot of issues with me personally on salvation as they try to argue it. Um, because if your book was at the foundation of the world, meaning the very beginning of time.
Mm.
Oh, check my Twitter. Okay, someone sent me something. Meaning of the number 42. Okay. All right. I will definitely put that in as a link of what you just sent me, Bo.
Okay.
Thank you. And I will get you the link through the private chat so you can see what he sent me. I will definitely look over that. Again, I'm working off of Um, yeah, I'm again working off of you know, I just trying to work off memory. So thank you again for that.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, I stand corrected. Apparently, 42 does appear
Oh yeah, okay, I've
in the
got it.
Bible.
The
Yeah,
king
and
of
it mentions in
mountain.
there of the 42 children that were slain by the bear. I can't believe I forgot about that from Second Kings, but yeah, loving God. Mock a guy for being bald. Yeah,
Oh
call a
yeah,
curse
yeah,
down upon you and kill 42 kids.
yeah.
Um,
Nice.
but yeah, but back to what I was saying uh on verse 8 with the whole foundation of the world, that would have been the beginning of time. So literally from there, salvation is predetermined before you're even born. You cannot officially be saved as they like to say. That's exactly what it is saying, because it doesn't matter. See, and that's another point for, if God knows everything, free will is impossible. He already determined that as it stands right now, I myself will go to hell. You will go to hell, Black Silver, because he determined it. We don't even have a chance. We don't
Yeah,
have a snowball's chance in hell, and I am referring to the fire and brimstone version, not the Michigan version,
yeah.
because there's literally a place called Hell, Michigan. That's a
Oh,
little town. So okay, just a little, yeah, little American geography humor, even as
okay.
bad as it is.
But yeah, it's the whole, once saved, always saved,
Yeah,
predetermination
yeah,
paradox.
yeah. But even before that, before you're even born, he already determined he's sending you to hell. So it doesn't matter who preaches to you.
Yeah.
You're screwed either way.
So why bother preaching?
Yeah, if he already determined who's going, and that's another one that I always had an issue with, was that bit there. Um,
Yeah.
Granted, there's a lot more into it that I have issues with, but that's just one that I came
Yeah.
across. That's one of the ones that have come up with this, and it goes on to say, if anyone has an ear, he should listen. If anyone is destined, if anyone is destined for captivity, into captivity he goes. If anyone who is to be killed with a sword he will be killed. He is
Yeah.
to Here is the endurance and the faith of the saints. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
another one of basically, well, God determines that you're going to die in a brutal, bloody massacre, or you're just going to become a slave and have no human dignity. And
Yeah.
again, we all know God has no care or regard for human life or dignity. There's,
Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
no love there.
No. So
Uh, oh, good.
it's all predetermined what's going to happen,
Yeah.
basically.
Yep. Which really raises the question of, why did Jesus have to die if he already knew everything that was going to happen? I just,
Why bother going through that?
yeah, there's, yeah, the whole omni points of God just are, it's a walking problem, because if God's all powerful, he can create a stone that he can't lift, but then he's not all powerful because he can't lift the stone.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
we're supposed to have free will, he can't be omniscient. He can't know everything that's going to happen before it happens, because he just gives us the illusion of free will, although he knows what choice we're going to make. Um, it's
Actually,
like God contradicts himself.
yeah.
What?
No, I was just going to say, when I was still a Christian, towards the end of when I was beginning to lose my faith, I gave up evangelizing, because I used to be quite fervent in evangelism,
Yeah,
because that's what I was taught. You have to evangelize. You have to go out and make disciples. But I gave up because I figured, well, God doesn't interfere with free will. So ultimately, it's the choice of um, the person you're speaking to. I can't. I decided that I couldn't convert anyone. The only person that could convert the person I was speaking to was that person, if that makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So I gave up. I thought, forget it. I'm not going to. God can't force people to convert. I can't convert anyone. So what's
Yeah.
the point?
Yeah, which then that would raise the question of if God can't force anyone to do anything, Pharaoh's heart in Exodus.
Yeah. Or rather, it's not that he can't force; he chooses not to.
Yeah. Well, with Pharaoh's heart, he personally hardened it.
Yeah.
So he could if he wanted to. So he can force people. That is not, again, there's so, I mean, if God's supposed to be all this, he completely fails miserably in what he tries to do. Um, but yeah, we're on verse 11 now. The
Yeah.
beast from the earth.
Okay.
Sounds like a really, really cool horror film, but it's not. It's not. Like, yeah, I read like this. Coming soon to theater near you. The end of the world is coming. Are you ready? Because remember, because this is the attack from the beast from the earth. Yeah, here we go. That would be one hell of, man. Okay,
Yeah.
is it wrong that I made Revelations sound freaking better than what it actually is? Maybe I should have written the story, and I'm not that good at writing stories.
Yeah. The beast out of the earth. This
Yeah,
time, personal.
yeah. Oh yeah, there's. Oh boy, you can. Man, this is
Nailed
what I
it.
love about doing Bible studies is you can just have so much fun with them. When you're not a Christian and you're not afraid to say the wrong things, that's when they become fun.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Then I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. It had two horns like a lamb. Uh,
What? Lambs
we
have
got a
horns.
problem here. You got a problem. Lambs do not have horns. I think you meant to put a ram
Yeah.
there. RAM, not LAMB.
Mm.
Um,
But
yeah.
I did hear someone preaching about this once, and he said that the Greek is more like a 1 year old lamb, no, who by then would have horns. So
Okay. Because as far as I knew, it was at a year the lamb was no longer considered a lamb. It was considered either a ram or a sheep.
mm,
I could again. I mean, if I'm wrong, but yeah, it would be. But by the times you have the horns, that distinguishes it as a ram.
yeah,
So it would make.
but
I don't know.
either way, so that's the problem.
But then again, in defense of this, Hebrews only had a select number of words and things that they wrote in, and the language that they used only had a select number of words. There very well could not have been a word for ram at the time. That very much is possible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know I'm getting a little bit into semantics with that argument of lamb versus ram. So, yeah, I'm willing to let them slide there, but it just doesn't make sense. Then
No,
it goes, but he sounded like a dragon. I don't know.
what do dragons sound like?
From everything that you're supposed to understand about them, they're supposed to roar. They're supposed to sound evil and nasty. I mean, I don't know. All I gotta say is that their analogy for that of how a lamb is supposed to sound, sounding like a dragon, is a bad analogy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
if you laugh, okay, we are gonna get along just fine if you laugh at those. Keep laughing at my bad jokes. It makes me feel better. Even if you didn't laugh, well, I would still make them anyway. So you're
so,
stuck with them as long as you're on this stream.
okay, that's fair.
Um, he exercises all authority of the first beast on his behalf and compels the earth and all who live on it to worship the first beast whose fatal wound was healed. Well, that would make sense because at this time, the Caesars and emperors, they were viewed almost godlike.
Yeah, yeah,
So, that would make, and again, looking at it from there at that point, um, he also performs great signs, even in causing fire to come down from heaven on earth before the people. That would be
yeah,
one hell of a trick. And the thing is, people say when you, and here's the thing I hate is people complain whenever we ask them for truth. Make a fireball come down from the sky. When you
yeah.
ask believers that, they shouldn't have an issue with it because who was it? Was it David or was it Saul? or Solomon who did this, but got into basically a pissing contest with another group of believers, and they were like calling on their God to bring
Yeah.
fire, and he called down this giant fireball from. You know what I'm talking about, there, right?
Elijah
Oh, that was Elijah. Okay.
versus the prophets of Baal.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
one. So if you're supposed to be a person of God, you should be able to do that for me. So why not? I mean, does God not do that anymore?
I guess not.
I guess not. Well, I mean, he used to walk with people, and I mean, so he can't be. That's another one, which is one. If he's in the garden, he's not
Yeah.
omniscient because, as I like to joke about, is that because if he's supposed to be everywhere, then with the earth, when he sits around the earth, he really sits around the earth.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I'm calling God fat and lazy.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but now you mention it, I guess that's right. Yeah, he is fat and lazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, I mean, what he can never get tired, but he won't do a 7-day work week.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a man.
He,
Uh,
he had to have a rest.
yeah, yet he's never supposed to get tired.
Yeah,
Goes on with verse 13 is where we're at. So anyone following along knows where we are.
yeah.
He also performs great. Oh, whoops, sorry. No, excuse me. We're on 14. Sorry, my bad. Whoops. Whoopsies. That never happened. Nobody heard me mess up. He deceiveth those who live on the earth because of the signs that he permitted to perform on behalf of the beast, telling those who live on the earth to make an image of the beast who had one sword wound yet lived. Well, okay, that really limits who it's allowed to be because that's very specific. A sword wound.
Yeah.
I don't know many people that use swords today.
No, no, me
I
neither.
mean, so it's kind of a dated reference there.
Yeah. Actually, my dad used to keep a sword under his bed in case
Yeah,
a burglar broke in.
yeah, yeah. My, I know people who have swords. I know someone who actually he had a full size Scottish claymore made,
All right.
and,
Okay.
and yeah, and of course me being Scotch Irish, I'm really freaking jealous of it. And when I say claymore, I mean full size 6-foot claymore. We're
Wow.
talking a full size claymore, not one of those little bitty midget ones. A full size. You need 2 hands to wield this sucker.
Wow.
I've held it. It's freaking heavy. So
I
yeah,
wouldn't mind seeing that.
yeah, it's pretty cool. Um,
Awesome.
so yeah, where was he? We're at
15.
15. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there we go. Sorry, I lost my place for a second. Wow. He was permitted to give a spirit to the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast could both speak and cause whoever would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. Well, that's another one. If we're looking at the emperor being the beast, those who did not fall and worship the Roman gods, like I said, a lot of times those Christians were invited for dinner at the Colosseum and
Yeah.
they were on the menu.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, oh, go ahead.
And I'm reading from the Living Water
Okay, yeah, I have NIV,
version.
so I guess we
And
have a little. Unless you have something different that might give it a
yeah,
little more context.
it says he was permitted to give life to this statue so that it could speak. And
Okay,
that reminds me of the book of
that
Daniel,
yeah,
where I think what was it? Was it Nebuchadnezzar who had a golden statue
yeah,
made of himself?
yeah,
And
and Daniel refused to worship and got thrown in, or no, that was no, that wasn't Daniel.
it was someone else. No, yeah,
The
no,
three Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
I
yeah,
I
that's
almost
right.
went Veggie Tales and went Rack Shack and Benny, but I'm like, no, that's all right.
Oh dear, Veggie Tales.
Oh, God. Hey, they got catchy music. I'm sorry. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I still listen to the silly song. It's free, and the
Oh,
soundtrack. It's freaking catchy.
it is. It's too catchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That is how you get ideas into children's minds with
Oh yeah.
music,
Oh yeah.
with catchy music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anyone at least in America, I don't know if they did it over there, but with like BBS and that. But I mean, I'm a C. I'm a CHRISTAAION AIAIAN. Yeah, but you still a Christian. I mean, it's
Yeah.
or the ones about all God's like the one I remember the most that I sang was all God's creatures got a place in the choir, and where some sing low and some sing higher, and yeah, just yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
Or he's got a big house with a big yard. There's so many. God,
Oh,
so
yeah.
many. Oh God, man.
We could do a whole video.
Oh God, yeah, we could. Oh boy.
Oh,
But yeah, that's actually you mentioning the what did you say? He brought life
into the statue.
into the statue. Okay, that actually brings up a very fun analogy here.
Mm.
Um, you're familiar with the golem spell, right?
With what, sorry?
Golem spells.
No, no.
Okay. You know how God created Adam, made him dust, and breathed into him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's a golem spell. It's a ancient Jewish thing,
Oh,
or just
right,
ancient
yeah.
history thing, where basically that's why you couldn't make any graven images. You couldn't have any idols
Mm.
because God's afraid you're going to breathe the breath of life into that statue, and
Oh,
then
right, yeah.
then you will become a god. It's there, yeah. Gives the because like I said, God was just hocus pocus. It's all he was, and so from there the giving the spirit onto the statue or where he was permitted to give a spirit into to the image of the beast, which would basically be he breathed the breath of life into the beast, which caused it to come alive.
Exactly.
um which just it raises it just a whole golem spell, and that's like because people are like, oh well, we had to clean figurines, wouldn't it be cool if we could breathe in them and give them life, and then it's like, oh that maybe that's how we got here, and thus kind of beyond all those crazies kind of came about,
Yeah.
and that actually I can't take credit for that little joke bit there. That one actually kind of a little bit came from R and Rob, but
Mm.
it's accurate either way. That's what a golem spell is. That's where you breathe the life into something and make it come to life.
Okay.
It's Jewish mysticism and all kinds of other stuff and on that. So
Yeah, yeah. I think I do remember hearing about that.
yeah, because
So
that's what
yeah,
we are.
yeah,
Um, continuing on, it says, and he requires everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on his right hand or on his forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, the beast's name, or the number of his name. Now,
yeah. Now I,
that one, if you have something for that, go ahead.
yeah, I used to totally believe that the mark on the hand or in the forehead was a chip,
Yeah,
and we were heading to a cashless society,
yeah.
and there would come a time when the one world government, the new world order,
Oh, you were one of those.
yeah, oh,
Oh,
yeah,
oh,
and
you were in it deep.
oh yeah, I was in. Oh yeah, I totally was. Yeah, and would come up with this chip, this microchip, and basically, if you accepted the chip, you were part. You became part of the system, and you were
Yeah,
out of the kingdom of God. You were now, destined for hell, basically. So
yeah,
the only way out was to refuse these microchips and go underground, live
oh
off
yeah,
the land, grow your own produce,
yeah. Oh yeah.
and
There's oh yeah. There's a lot of crazy out there just use stuff in the name of religion. My interpretation for the longest time was because I looked at them like, well, they don't have um they didn't have, microchips or anything like that we have nowadays. So there's no way
Of
they could
course,
have known
yeah.
about what we have here.
No.
I always thought that it was something it was very common with slaves and how you marked slaves back in the day was a
Yeah,
brand. It was some form of a brand
yeah,
or some form of like a tattoo or something that which they did have ways of doing that back then. Um so so it was something along those lines.
yeah,
Because and then the way you showed it was you had to show the mark, then you paid with the cash or coins or whatever. But actually looking at it, because with Nero, and there's old coins I believe that I've seen with Nero on it when he was the emperor,
mm,
and it had Nero's name on it. Well,
yeah,
Nero 666,
yeah,
you're and most people even back then, a lot of people who were left-handed back, you were right-handed. That's always been the dominant, as far as I understood, dominant trait.
mm,
So I mean, think about it. Then again, the forehead one, I don't know how that would work. It's that one is still up for debate on that one.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Again, because Christians
And
were slaves back then, that's why I think it was like some sort of a brand or something that you got. I
probably, yeah.
so
Yeah, that's a lot more plausible than the microchip in the forehead.
yeah, yeah. It's. I mean, I actually thought it was kind of cool because it'd be like, oh, hey, I can afford cool things now. This was back when I was like 11 when when I first heard that, and of
Yeah.
course I didn't understand how money or any of that crap works. So I was, yeah, how naive I was, how naive you were back then, and so I
Yeah.
thought it was cool that you could just swipe your hand, that you could like present your hand or forehead, and you got something cool, cool stuff. That was back before I had really a concept of money and what it was.
Mm,
Uh, and the last verse of 18
mm,
is here is wisdom. The one who has understanding must calculate the number of the beast because it is the number of a man. His number is 666. And again, that right there
mm.
is um you know that's Nero right there. There's no other
Yeah.
way around it. I mean everything about the beast matches to Nero. Um
And the key word there is wisdom.
yeah.
Yeah. Let those who have understanding solve the number. So
Yeah.
basically, we're back to people who are in the know.
Yeah.
And can you hear me okay? Because it seems to be echoing.
I hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah. So this goes back to people who were, spiritually in the know. The members of this sect, the way, the seven churches that this would be circulated around. They were the ones who had wisdom. They were the ones who had
Yeah.
understanding, and they were the ones who could calculate the number of the beast 666.
Yeah.
They knew exactly who the writer of the this letter was talking about. You and again, you can't just come out and say, this is all about Nero because you're going
Yeah.
to be lying food.
One point I was going to bring up, and actually my Bible has a reference on this,
Okay.
um, of many attempts have been made to translate this number into a name. None really succeed. Nero. I'm sorry. I yeah. Just it says since all such translation in the end is guesswork. So again, if it's guesswork, why the hell should we follow what it says?
Mm.
If you can't be accurate, if there's supposed to be word of God, it should be accurate. It shouldn't be any guesswork.
Yeah.
Um, some suggest that and this is one point I was going to bring up, is the main reason why I'm reading this part, is some suggest that this is a symbol, not a cryptogram. Since seven is a perfect number, each number in the mark falls short of such perfection. And that's what I was going to say, is seven is supposed to be the number of God. And from there, you have it. Actually, really good question, Keon, and we were actually going to get to that. Um, I have a slight answer on that, and he might have, and Black Sofa might have something else for it. So, yeah, hold on, and we will get right there.
Yes, yes.
That was actually
Well,
the next point we were going to bring up.
yeah.
So you're getting a
And
little ahead of schedule here.
a big hello to Unholy Mole as well.
Oh,
Hi.
hey, Unholy Mole.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
There, there's a mole in the chat. Don't go leaking any information on us.
So yeah,
But yeah, that's another one. Is that since God is supposed to be 777,
yeah,
666 um was the mark of the beast because it did not meet that perfect seven.
yeah,
Although three is supposed to be another evil number for him as well. That's why the witching hour is 3 a.m. because 3 a.m. in a 24-hour clock system, because almost everyone uses 24-hour clock except us here in the States, which is, yeah, we're the oddballs here. I admit it. Um,
but in the
so
UK, they still, largely use AM and PM, but I think just about everywhere else.
yeah, yeah, we use AM and PM. You guys everywhere else does not. See, they need to get with this. They need to get with the times and understand a 12-hour system was so much better. But
Yeah,
but a uh, but 3 a.m. is the witching hour because 3 a.m. is supposed has some evil connotation to Satan in that. And oh my God, just Satan is another topic. I
yeah,
That's another because Satan, and that's the thing. Satan is in the Old Testament, except in a few parts. I think that actually more comes in the New Testament than the Old. But Satan and God are buddy buddy. They are
yeah.
best friends.
Oh yeah,
If you read Job, Satan and God are best friends.
yeah,
Not even close. Not even close to being enemies. Satan was a
yeah.
um
He was in the same
yeah,
area as God,
yeah.
and given free reign by God.
Oh yeah, he was. It's I mean, like I said, the talk on um I've thought about maybe doing a video on Satan and some of the history of that. Just it's there's a lot of research to do for that though. Because really, and again, I don't know if I could really do much with it because R. did a phenomenal video on it
Mm,
as well. I've learned a lot from him, and through looking up some of the stuff that he's led me down the path on, I've learned a lot as well myself.
yeah.
But it's you know there's so many things in there, and that's the things about like when people point out to well Satan, all these false gods demand a human sacrifice. I'm like, yeah, you haven't read your Bible then. If you don't even realize your God does the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many.
Mm. Yeah, I mean Yahweh demands that Abraham should
Oh, you
sacrifice
don't
his
even need to
son.
go there
No,
because that was a failed sacrifice because
yeah,
he pulled back at the last second. There's a literal human sacrifice in the Bible,
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah,
Judges 11 with Joseph, where he
yeah,
sacrifices his daughter. He says to God, hey, if you deliver my enemies upon you, I will sacrifice the first thing that comes out of my house to you.
yeah,
Well, if God knows everything, he would know that it was the daughter. So if I was God and I don't want human sacrifice, I would have been like, no, pal, I'm not delivering the enemies onto you until you retract this offer.
yeah. I
It,
mean, that's a stupid thing to say, really, because you don't know what's going to come out. What the first thing that's going to
yeah.
come out of your house is.
And, and he,
If I were God, I would say, okay, "Come on, don't be stupid.
yeah, yeah,
Just offer me a normal burnt offering."
yeah. Give me the burnt offering. Make sure you trim the entrails because that's sweet incense to me.
Yeah,
God's into the really, really weird shit. I'll fully
he,
say that.
he loves barbecue.
Yeah. I mean,
He loves barbecue. Does God?
yeah. There's so many things wrong. I mean, with just I mean, there's so much that you can go into just on that. But back
Yeah,
on topic with to Keon's question of 616 and
yeah,
666.
yeah,
Do you want to take that one first?
yeah. Well, yeah, I've read in a few commentaries, and that's in other manuscripts, it even says there's even a footnote in some translations of the Bible. Let's see if I've got it in mine here.
Mine didn't have it at all.
Yes. There's a footnote. Some manuscripts read 616,
Yeah,
and this is big. Now, what many Christians don't seem to understand how the Bible came to us.
yeah.
Okay, it didn't. The King James version didn't just drop out of heaven.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. So you mean it didn't come from God directly?
Oh no. Well, apparently
Oh,
not.
I am so disappointed now.
Yeah, I was totally disillusioned when I learned about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But
Same here.
but we don't even have the original manuscript. We've got fragments at
That aren't
best.
originals. I mean,
Yeah.
the oldest. I mean, we believe Mark,
Mm.
which was written first, was around 60 CE.
Yeah.
Um, and with that, you have. Oh, and don't get me started on the dates. The BC and AD bullcrap. Well, that is proof God. That's proof Jesus existed. Oh no, that's because we get our calendar from Rome. We use the Roman calendar, and guess
No.
what? When it became Christianity became the official religion, basically because the Christians were getting too big and they couldn't keep killing them all, and they were afraid of an uprising, they just decided to appease them.
Yeah.
That's when the whole BC AD thing came about. But
Yeah.
no, we only had that because of Rome.
Yeah.
But yeah, around
I
60 CE. But the youngest fragment for Mark, I think, is that we have that's legible and that we have is like 120 CE, 100 CE.
yeah.
It's really it's not an original copy. There are no freaking original. I mean, heck, the Gospels are all written anonymously.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
We don't even
Um,
know if those are the ones who wrote them, who they're being attributed to. We know that they didn't write them. But there's just so many, like I
and
said,
and
issues with
so
this.
yeah, and so what happened was you had monks, copying the manuscripts word for word because you didn't have the uh, printed manuscripts until the Gutenberg
Oh
printing
yeah,
press.
oh yeah,
So those days manuscripts had to be painstakingly copied
oh yeah,
word for word, and so in some manuscripts you've got the number 616 instead of 666.
yeah,
So, and apparently 616 is the number of the Roman Emperor Caligula.
yes,
And that says to me that the, the identity of the beast changed
yeah.
depending on who was Caesar at the time the manuscript was being copied.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I was going to point out was that it was Caligula who that one adds up to,
Hmm.
um, and I think that's partly why. Yeah, I don't have any sources for this. This is just my own pure speculation. Of when Revelation almost didn't make it into the canon, I think that they might have figured out, oh, they're talking about us, and as far as the beast, so
Yeah,
should we put it in there and give them a reason to hate us even more? Although we are making their religion, so let's put it because it almost became a heretical text.
yeah,
Revelation almost became heretical.
yeah. I mean, it's pretty much the common consensus among theologians is that it's a forgery. It wasn't written by John.
No.
It was written by someone using his name.
Yeah.
Um, because what do you do if you're someone who's not known to the church, and you want to make a name for yourself? You want your letter to get recognized by the church. You use the name of a famous apostle,
Yeah,
like
because sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
like like John. And so it's pretty much known that Revelation is a forgery, written in the name of John. So we know that John didn't write it.
Yeah, and there's I don't remember who it was that I read, but someone threw in an analysis of works that are attributed to John, like the Gospel of John, to Revelations, and I want to say one of the people who did it was like a forensic. I'll see if I can find the thing. I'll put it in the description if I can find it. Because it was really interesting because he was like a forensic handwriting person.
Yeah,
Like words that you use are almost distinct to you. Like your writing style is distinct to one person.
yeah,
And he looked at it and said, "This is two different people.
yeah.
These was not written by the same person. There's no way this could have happened." Um, so yeah, that's another one of like that I'm looking at him go, Revelation was not written by John. It's not, you know, I mean, there's just so many issues with Revelation in and of itself
Yeah.
that I mean we could sit here and oh my god, we could probably do a we could probably do 24 hours and probably not even make it through up
Oh,
to the mark of the beast.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
we've been at
exactly.
this
Yeah,
for an hour 15 and we're only doing one chapter.
yeah, yeah.
And
Crazy.
there and
So
it's
there's
not
so much.
even oh good.
Yeah, there's so much in there to talk about.
Yeah, it's I mean, and also if you go with of he's supposed to be describing what he literally sees. This is one that Christians hate. I don't have the exact verse in here, but when he talks about how he went up to heaven,
Mm.
I think that's in the early parts. Let's see if I can find it. Um, he talks about how he saw the four corners. Um,
I had a big hello to Jolly drive by. Hello.
oh yeah, hey Johnny. Yeah, sorry, did not see in the chat there. Um, but it's basically this was a giant dream, and he wrote down what he
Yeah,
saw in the dream.
yeah,
And from there, it says somewhere I cannot find it, but he saw the four corners of the earth. Well, I don't know about you, but that would imply a flat Earth.
yeah,
I don't know about you, but I'm pretty darn sure the Earth is round. It's spherical. It's an
yeah.
oblique spheroid. Very, very minor oblate spheroid,
Mm.
but it is one.
Yeah. And I don't know if you're familiar with the Left Behind movies.
A little. I read the books in high school, and that was 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, because they try to make it into literal, um, not history, because future, something that's going to
Yeah,
definitely happen in the future. They do it. They
it's a
dramatize the whole book of
yeah.
Revelation.
It is really interesting. I mean, I can see why. I mean, even looking back now that I'm an atheist, looking back at it, and when I read it, I'm like, I would still go back and reread it because it's a fun thriller series. If you
Yeah,
just want one that's just a good action packed thriller novel, I highly recommend it. It's if you don't know, like I mean, it's obvious it is, but like if you were to just to change the names from like the Antichrist and things like that, and you were to change it,
yeah,
I mean, it would be one hell of a freaking book. It would be a good
yeah.
fiction thriller.
Mm.
Um, with the way it's written, if you were to change the, just a few of the words and names from the biblical terms to just everyday names, oh yeah, it definitely would be a good book.
Definitely, yeah. And
Um,
of course, the book series is a bestseller.
oh yeah,
Mm.
for a good reason, and also Christians are always willing to drop money on Christian things. I mean,
Yeah,
Christianity I really is the greatest scam of all time.
Oh yeah,
It is. I mean, you think about it. You tell people what they want to hear, and they give you all their money.
correct.
I mean, I can't think of
Yeah,
a better con.
yeah.
So there's a lot of
So
um
yeah, but but of course, it's not supposed to be interpreted that way. It's not supposed.
yeah.
It was written in apocalyptic language,
Oh yeah.
in a secret code that only those in the know would understand,
Yeah.
as we've already said.
Yeah, and with the those who have understanding, let them calculate the name uh bit. There's a lot of issues on that alone because all the people who would have had the understanding of the time, guess what? They're all dead.
Yeah,
Again, unless someone
yeah,
can produce a 2,000-year-old person or someone close to 2,000 years.
yeah,
I mean, heck, I'll even take a 1900-year-old person. I'll give them that extra 118 years. They were born right at the time when Jesus said that prophecy. I'll give them that, and they live to be 118 years old. I'll give them that.
yeah,
But no one's going to be able to produce that because no one is alive who meets that description. No one knows what it means. I mean, because it was Nero, and I even know Christians, even pastors, who accept that it's referring to Nero
yeah, yeah.
and Caligula. It's referring to them,
Mm,
and there's just and I'm like, well, if you know it's not right, then why do you follow it? I mean, that's supposed to be the biggest book because that tells you what's going to happen.
yeah.
No, no, they still. I'm like, oh god, you just take that step, take that next step. You've already admitted it's bullshit. Now just take that final step and say the rest of it is as well.
Yeah, and they can't. The theologians can't, and that's why there's so many denominations.
Oh yeah,
I've seen churches split over
oh yeah,
the issue of, is Jesus coming back before the millennium, midway through the millennium, or after the millennium, or is there no millennium?
yeah.
Uh,
Oh yeah. One thing with me, I mean, when I was Christian, I identified as Southern Baptist, but I was a registered member of a Lutheran church, and I know with one of my issues with Lutheranism is the communion thing. And every time I went to church with my mom, because my parents are Lutheran, I
mm,
refused, and my mom hated it, but I refused to take communion. Um,
yeah.
because of the fact that they believed in the transformation, similar to the Catholics.
Okay.
They believed in the magical, miraculous transformation. Whereas, oh, hey Don, I just saw him in the chat.
Ah,
Um,
hi.
and um, and from there, you, I always because one of the things of why I never agreed with that
Mm,
was and studying the Bible because I've always was fascinated with it. Um, I mean, I wanted to be a preacher for a long time,
yeah.
but
Oh yeah, me too.
it
Yeah.
um, but with that, it's did
Yeah.
you see Keon's comment?
No. No.
It seems like that's why I love it. It says it seems that the
I
Bible is the
don't.
ancient version of Star Wars. Each time they added
Yeah.
a book, it got worse.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was good. That was good. Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
that's where Lucas based his story.
yeah, actually, it was based on ancient Rome. If you look at a lot of it is ancient Rome and Greek,
Mm,
ancient Roman Greek and Greek stories. Oh crap! Now I lost where I was at. Oh yeah, the verses in the Last Supper when he says, "Do all this in remembrance of me." When Jesus
yeah.
supposedly or attributed saying that,
Mm,
it's remembrance in every category I could find was symbolism. You did the
yeah.
Passover in remembrance of the Passover. Not
Yeah.
because that was the actual Passover, but you did it in remembrance of it.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I mean, So yeah, it's just so many, just so many things in there. It just to me didn't add up with what the Lutherans said to where I was. So I more or less identified as Southern Baptist my most of my life.
Mm.
That was the church that I went to more often than not because a friend of mine, their dad, and actually I still call my former pastor. Um, I refer to him as that because I felt he was more of a pastor than any of the other ones I had were. And he was Southern Baptist, and I was actually going to go to Southern Baptist Seminary before I became an
Okay.
atheist. Never made it
All
there.
right. Mm.
But unless you got anything else to add or chat, do you have any other questions for us that we can try and field? If not, we'll give you a little bit to type them out. If not, I think that might be it for us. Unless you have anything you want to add, Black Sofa.
No, no, I think that's it. I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah. So let's give the chat some time to type if they say anything, and if not, well, I guess that will be it for us.
Yeah.
Do 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 do. Sorry, it's just don't like awkward silences. Yeah, I like it, Black Silver. You're really cool. You laugh at my bad jokes.
Yeah. Well, I
If you
like
laugh at my
them.
bad joke, I'm good.
Mm.
Yeah. Sorry, Don. No, we can't.
What's that? Oh,
Don asked, "Can we?"
oh God. I just watched Kent Hovind's teaser to his new part.
Oh God.
I
Yeah.
wish you could not see things, damn it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I Johnny. Now you're gonna make me actually go and watch that now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because if it's as bad as whenever someone says it's this bad, I'm one of those. I go. I don't see Godless Iowa in the chat, so I think it's safe to make the Iowa joke. I'm like an Iowan, or no, excuse me, not an Iowan. Sorry, no, yeah, no one cares about Iowa. No one, yeah, yeah. Um, it's sorry, Missouri. I
Oh,
need to shut up. I need to be. I pretend like I'm from Missouri, and I hate Missouri. I'm in Kansas. Missouri's and Kansas, they don't get along very well.
okay.
Um, so it's so yeah, I'm like someone from Missouri. Show me. I don't believe you unless you show me. Because
All right.
for you to get the reference, Missouri is called the Show Me State. So
All right. Okay.
little humor. And the reason Kansas and Missouri hate each other is because Kansas and Missouri kind of came in during the Civil War. Missouri was a split state. Kansas um was free, and so Kansas and Missouri were literally fighting each other during the
Mm.
Civil War. They literally. That's why people who are KU fans like myself hate the University of Missouri. We there's a reason it was when we played in football when they were in the conference. It was called the Civil War on the Gridiron because
All
it
right.
was because all the people who fought on the Kansas side sent their kids to KU. All the people who fought on the Missouri side sent them to Mizzou, and from then on, the tradition just kept on. And it's one of the few rivalries I will say that there was never a question of, at least in football, and of course I'm referring to American football, not what you guys confuse soccer with over there across the pond. Um, they always, it was never a question of if there was going to be a fight. It was a question of when it was going to break out. And me and my friends used to always try and figure out who could get the closest to the time marker in the quarter of when the fight would happen.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, that's American football for you. For any of the people across the pond who might be watching, not what you guys commonly mistake as soccer.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not afraid to take a cheap shot at sports. um,
Go ahead.
Uh, but yeah, I don't think there's really much else from the chat, so I think that might be it for all of us. And I know it's late over there for you, so I don't want to keep you too long either, Black Sofa. So, but yeah, thank you
Okay.
everybody for joining. And again, thank you, Black Sofa, for joining me on my channel. It was a real honor to
Well,
have you on.
well, thanks for having me.
All right.
And yeah, thanks a lot for the for the hard work you did, and for
Um,
your video you did for my channel.
Yeah,
And
it was just cheap bad jokes. That's I really didn't have a whole lot, you know.
uh,
It wasn't that much. It was just the flood story was coming up, and I had already saw you had done the. I had actually just recently watched your Cain and Abel, so that was the next one I was on. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, that was originally the plan for today was Cain and Abel. So yeah, if you tune in next week for when I do a Saturday Seminary, should be Cain and Abel. So
Cool.
yeah, the guy who killed his brother, there were no other women in the world but Eve, but he somehow managed to find a wife. Yeah,
Yeah.
makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, me
But yeah,
too.
thank you everyone for joining us. This is Cat Brony signing out.